Three case studies showing how ICT can support hard-to-teach topics in secondary geography. Using data loggers to investigate a local microclimate, a virtual field trip of a changing part of town, and using readily available geographic information systems across the school.
The benefits of the data loggers is that it's all recorded for them. It's very sensitive technology, so it comes up with, very detailed differences. And then the software that they use makes it incredibly easy for them to be able to see all the data in front of them.
This Year 10 geography class is going out into the school grounds to carry out a geographical investigation.
So the object of the exercise today is to have a look at whether the microclimate of the school grounds varies very much. So we're going to be looking at temperature, humidity, and we're going to be looking at light levels and seeing how they change from, for example, the playing fields and the cricket pavilion area to around the school buildings. See if we can find much of a difference. So what we're going to do then, now we're out here, we're going to go and take our readings. You should have with you your data loggers, and in some cases you've got a digital camera to take a shot of the site as well.
There are 10 locations around the school site, and the students are going to take readings at each one. Some of the sites are shaded by trees. Some are near buildings. And others are out in the open sports fields.
Right, lads, how are you getting on?
We've done it. It's saying it's 5 Celsius. 56.8 is the humidity.
The handheld logger stores the data until it can be analysed back in the classroom.
Been getting like warmer ones, like when we were higher up, and by the trees we got cooler.
The temperature's 7.4. It's a bit higher because of the sun. And the humidity is 47.8.
At the moment we're at site 7 there.
How are you getting on, lads?
Fine.
All right, what sorts of readings are you managing to get? Is it varying very much?
Yeah.
What sort of temperature?
The benefits of the data loggers is that it's all recorded for them. It's very sensitive technology, so it comes up with, very detailed differences.
OK, well done.
At 59.9 humidity and 5.2 Celsius.
The nice thing about this activity was we could do it all on our school site.
Got to go through there to find something to learn.
We've got quite a nice school site, quite a lot of fields and greenery around us, and so taking the students out, they get a real feel for what it's like to be out in the field.
It's 7 degrees. The humidity's near 53.
And it's quite straightforward and easy to do that. It's not something where I need to collect lots of permission forms and fill out lots and lots of paperwork for it. We can just step outside the school grounds, and it's very easy really to be able to have that. I think a lot of schools can probably manage to do that too.
Humidity's a bit less because we've been sheltered by the buildings. Really surprised because I never thought it was like how much difference a building could make with the humidity and the temperature.
They start to come up with some explanations for the different readings they're getting at different locations.
The grass is still wet and it makes it more humid than all the ones on the concrete because the grass absorbs the water.
The humidity's higher here than it is where the tarmac is and where this building surrounded it, because the moisture in the grass and soil so the humidity's higher here.
The lesson that we've been doing today fits into a physical module on weather and climate, and the students have been looking at changes in climate over a very short distance. The benefits of doing it in this way, there are a few benefits really. One of them is the students really understand and remember what they've done because they've been out in the field. And another one really is it just increases the enjoyment of this particular topic.
Now, just for your information, in your packs...
So the data that the students collected was stored on their data loggers, and the first thing that we had to do when we came back to the classroom was retrieve the data from the data loggers. The software that they use makes it incredibly easy for them to be able to see all the data in front of them. So they're not taking time drawing graphs themselves. The graphs appear on the screen and they can then be spending their time analysing it as opposed to drawing the actual graphs themselves.
The red's the temperature, the blue's the humidity, the green's the light.
6.4, 10.
They then copy the data they've collected into a GIS programme.
6.4.
4. And colours.
The software then allows the students to display their data graphically at the corresponding sites on the map of the school.
Well, we can tell that the darker ones have got a higher temperature than the lighter ones on the graph. The warm ones are near buildings and where there's dark surfaces, and the lighter ones are where there's like open areas that aren't very shaded. Well, we'll put that into Word, get a key for it.
That's the humidity right there. The darker colours are the places where it's more humid, and the lighter colours are where it's drier air. It's just showing me that in the fields it's more humid, where there's moisture coming off from the grass and plants, and in the buildings it's drier.
They measure the light levels, and the higher they are, the more light they have. Site 6 and Site 8 were the brightest, because Site 6 is in the middle of the field and it has more light. Site 10 is blocked by buildings.
The use of the GIS is obviously a compulsory thing now within the specifications and the national curriculum. So it's quite a nice way to get the students getting used to using GIS, and it's them using computers for a purpose rather than using computers for the sake of it, which is, I think, a traditional problem that there's been with use of computers in geography.
The hottest sites tend to be by the buildings and on the playground because it absorbs the heat and then radiates it back out into the area where it is. But that one is hotter as well because the sun's directly on it.
In a relatively short space of time, the students were able to come up with some quite complex patterns that they managed to find when they were out in the field. So in the space of an hour and a half, they were able to go out, collect the data, come back, put it into the computer system and analyse it and come up with some really good results.
We're geographers, we love fieldwork, and we'll never back down. We want to go on our field trips, and every year group go on a different field trip, and we have one-day field trips, we have half-day field trips locally, we've got one-week residentials in the UK and abroad, and they're a fundamental part of geography teaching. But we can't go out every week. OK, Year 8, welcome this morning. I want to take you on a field trip, but we can't go. We've only got an hour, it's freezing cold weather, so we're going to go on a virtual field trip.
And the virtual field trip will be provided by the materials on the school's virtual learning platform.
So it says, today you're going to explore the lower Don Valley of Sheffield from the comfort of your seat. We'll record how we see the land being used today and understand why things are there now and how it's changed over the last 20, 30, 40 years and how they've benefited Sheffield and Sheffield people like yourselves. On your page there's a map with lots of photographs. So as you hover over little pins on the map, you can actually look at a photograph that was taken exactly in that location.
I'm looking at Google Map and at pictures that have been tagged of different places in Lower Don Valley. It comes up on Sheffield Arena.
The pictures were taken by a previous Year 8 group around the Don Valley area of Sheffield. And they've been linked to an interactive map so these students can explore the area for themselves.
That one's going to be Meadowall because it's like a big
building. There's like lots of leisure stuff, and in the retail part there's like more things to do.
Just scroll a little bit out of where you were.
Is it just Lower Don Valley that we're looking at?
Yeah, so if you just scroll back a little bit, stay inside this red line, that's where we're interested today.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
If you go into the table and put it
Once they've looked at the various locations, the next step is to sort them into different land use categories.
Okay, we've got the Sheffield Arena. Probably leisure and entertainment, because you can go and see shows there.
For most children, they could just get on with it themselves, and I had the pleasure of going around talking about their work, talking about the geographical issues, but they were on task and they knew what they were doing and they knew what they had to do next because it was all laid out in front of them. This is a really clever picture because it looks just like a sign, but if you look at it, it's breaking down lots and lots of the different places in Valley Entertainment. So if you've got good eyes and see what they all are, you could get maybe 8 different things into your table just from that one photograph. So that's a really good picture, that one.
Soon they begin to see some patterns in the types of land use that they can see.
Well, I've found out that there's lots of sports facilities and retail parks around Sheffield, but there's not many industry things that we can see on the videos and evidence.
I've spotted that there's lots of leisure and entertainment facilities in Lower Don Valley, and I'm just writing down what they are. There's the M1 from people coming like at different places. There's buses, trams, trains as well, and there's like tram lines and stuff like that for the trams to get there as well.
The students upload their work onto the school's learning platform as they go.
This tool on our learning platform is really, really useful. There's 2 main uses of this. I'm using this tool to monitor that the work is coming in. So at the end of the lesson, I can see that everyone's submitted their work. But as they're working their way through tasks 1, 2 and 3, I know when to move the class on. When people are mostly finishing one task and I need to introduce the next task, I can see how many have done it. Because sometimes teachers are pushed on, the pace of lesson is pushed on by the fastest who are asking for more work, and others get left behind. Whereas here I can move the lesson on at the right speed for the whole group. But the beauty of it being, the faster children can move on to task 2, task 3, task 4 if they're ready, and I can actually see their work that they're doing. But after the lesson, I can open up here and I can look at the actual work they've done. So I can look at the work coming in through the lesson and get the pace of the lesson right. But afterwards, I can mark this from home. I don't have to carry any books home, any piles of work home. I can't lose their books. It's all on here. Wherever I find myself working with the internet, I can click on their work, look at what they've done and send them their feedback back.
The students go on to look at other images of Sheffield on their virtual tour, of how the Don Valley used to be.
When the steelworks was closed down, a lot of people lost their jobs and families were like losing out on money. And but then when the national government decided to build like Meadow Hall and entertainment, like people got some jobs, and like it was used well because a lot of people came to it, and they still do now.
My granddad used to work in the steelworks in Forge Masters, and he used to like work on the big machines.
And what they've done before this lesson is they've been looking at Sheffield and urban regeneration issues, and where we've moved on to by the end of this lesson is looking at the engines for change and what do local and national government use to stimulate redevelopment of depressed city areas.
Looking at the World Student Games. Right, so it says write how it has an impact on your own life. So I'm going to write how it's made lots of, because they had to build lots of sports facilities. Now we've got loads that we can use now, and hopefully we can use that for the Olympics and train people so they can be in them.
I think this was interesting because it's an area of Sheffield which they do know, but they've not really studied it in an analytical way and looking at the reasons why it's there. So even though it's an area that's familiar to them, they were looking at it in a different way through a geographer's eyes today. But for places which are far away, which they can't easily get to, then virtual field trips have got massive benefits.
GIS is Geographical Information Systems, which involve showing data using maps, graphs, imagery. It's not as complex as a lot of people think. For a teacher who's never used it before, you don't have to go out and use a big piece of software, buy a piece of equipment. As a starting point, online GIS applications via websites can be a very good place to start. The automatic default is income per person versus life expectancy.
Robert is introducing his Year 8 class to a website which displays facts and figures about countries of the world in a visually graphic way. It also allows them to look at changing patterns over time.
When you click play, all the countries move, and if you select several countries, it can show you the trail. So it shows you when it plummets, when it goes up, when it goes down.
Here, they're comparing information about Haiti with other countries and coming up with some interesting conclusions.
I've looked at the trail of Haiti from 1952, and it told me that the income didn't really change much until it went forward a bit, and then in 2007 it went backwards. But their life expectancy has still gone up.
Shows that roughly as much as it can tell of its journey in life expectancy and its income per person. Now, obviously, in Haiti's case, its life expectancy is going up to around the age of 60, but its income is slightly decreased.
The income per person hasn't really increased that much over the years. I thought it would have increased like years back, but it's quite a poor country.
It's odd because though their life expectancy has gone up quite significantly, they've actually got poorer per person, which either means that they've had a very odd load of growth, or they've had quite a lot of foreign aid, which had been giving them medicine, maybe some form of infrastructure such as sewage, but they haven't actually been getting each individual person jobs. So what we've got is a state entirely dependent on foreign aid. Dominican Republic and, well, they're next door neighbours and they're miles off each other. The Dominican Republic is that little one there, and then Haiti's back here. And while actually they're not that far off on life expectancy, the Dominican Republic is per head very, very well off, which is slightly disturbing because on a map they're next door neighbours, they're on the same island. There's Haiti and there's the Dominican Republic, and the Dominican Republic had just completely outgrown Haiti.
Traditionally, you might have done this by just plotting out information and been very laborious. Even if you're doing it on Excel, it could be quite laborious. Gapminder allows you to literally click, 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 and you've got a graph. You can look at patterns over time, you can highlight particular countries. They were definitely using it as a great tool to sort of investigate.
Compared to the United States, Haiti is completely opposite to how America's doing. And
the Dominican Republic is improved.
Where is Haiti? Haiti's
from there
so
to
from
there,
all the way, and it goes backwards on the income.
A little bit.
And it ends up there in 2007, whereas America, all the way up there. Because they all started off in about the same place, didn't they?
Yeah.
But whereas the difference there compared to there is huge.
Yeah, so Haiti hasn't really improved that much.
No, not at all.
The level of answers and the level of talks going on, but even just between friends, was a lot higher than if it just been like, turn to page 24, here's some information. Here they've actually investigated, plotted, tried things out, and it definitely enriches their... But it definitely engages them, and also, I think, makes them think. One of the biggest issues in the UK is coastal erosion. This lesson we carried out today is a good way for them to realise where erosion is happening, how fast it can happen, and also what the future could be if erosion was to continue at a similar rate. When you look on the web page, what will happen is you'll get an aerial photograph that was taken in 1999. And in yellow, on top of it, is an OS map from the 1850s. Using that information and this website, you're going to work out where the coast was and where the coast is, and then use that information later in the lesson to plot how fast the coast is eroding and what will it be like in, say, 10 years' time.
We're trying to find out how much the coastline's changed in a number of years. The yellow lines represent in what was the coastline in 1815, and the image it's showing now is in 1999.
You click where the old coastline was with the map, and then you just move your cursor over to where it is on the picture, and then it tells you in the corner.
You go on the map, and then you put your mouse over the yellow bit, and that tells you where it used to be. And then if you click on that, and then you put your mouse on where it is now, it tells you how many metres away it is. And then you can put it in here, and it tells you the rate of erosion. You have to do it 10 times at different places, and then you have to look at the year of the map and the year of the photograph and put those in as well.
You should have a value now, perhaps 2 metres per year, average rate of erosion. You're going to use that value in Google Earth to look at future erosion.
Basically, we're using this data on the average rate of erosion per year, and then we're drawing a line to see how far the coast will have eroded in 10 years. So you just get the line, and then you go in from the coast, and then I'm just going to draw the line here to show how far the coast will have eroded in 10 years.
Well, this caravan park here will all go, and the beach will get closer to the other houses as well.
Next, the predicted coastline for 50 years from now.
And we make it a different colour from the 10 years one, so you can tell the difference. And then click along how far it's going to be. Well, there's a lot more houses that are going to go, and it's going to get this road as well, it's going to go away.
It gives them a lot more involvement, engagement in learning, rather than just telling them this is the case study, Holderness is eroding. Here, they find out it's eroding, and then they'll have a look at what will actually happen.
The main beach, as people know it, is going to be gone, but not much inland will need to move. But after 50 years, some of the buildings will have to be moved. So that's probably going to have nothing there by like 100 years.
GIS gives us a tool to create maps easily, quickly, efficiently, and hence more time to actually analyse.
These Year 10s are looking at what improvements could be made to their local area, using a combined satellite image and map on which they can overlay their chosen features.
Basically, there's been quite a few accidents on the road that I live on. Because of that, I think that speed's quite a big problem on it, and there's no speed cameras as yet. And now I'm trying to add speed cameras. And there, then one just off the turning.
This is where I live, and just putting improvements around, and because there's a lot of old people in my area, I wanted to put in a bus service so they could travel around easier. The first thing I've added is the bus stops, and then I'm going to add in the route which the bus will travel to and from, and then I'm going to add allotments over around here.
I'm going to make cycle lanes on most of the roads along these main roads down here, just to sort of get some cars off the road and make it more sustainable.
I've chosen the small area which I live in because I think although it's a small area, there's a lot that can be improved upon. So at the moment I'm looking at transport issues, and although we do have a good bus service, it is quite congested, so I'm adding a bus lane, but also cycle lanes because it will get kids out and they'll feel safe and their parents will feel safe with that. These blue lines are the bike lanes and the green patches are the green spaces which are publicly available. These red lines are the paths that run through them and the stars are the bus stops at the moment.
Rather than just giving 2 maps printed out this way, they're actually much more interactive. They take a lot more involvement in the learning process.
That's the list of all the bus stops for the bus route which runs in my area. So I'm just trying to plot the bus route on my map. The red dots are the bus stops, which I knew of, and then the line is the bus route, which I'm trying to carry on at either end. We've only started working with this year, but I thought it'd be quite difficult to use, but it's not at all. And yeah, I like it because it's like visual and you can have it right in front of you.
I find it a lot easier, and if you make a mistake, you don't. On a map, you're going to have to stick there. But whereas on a computer, you can, if you think that that's not right, you can change it after a while, and you can have different symbols, and they're already on there for you. You don't have to look the symbols up and then see which one you think's best. You can just add it on, basically.
They're very competent now. They're being able to add their own information, flick from one sort of map, view it, and they're all doing those naturally without really thinking about it. And they're coming out with some really high-quality pieces of work.
The top one is looking at the area already and the areas of urban density where most people go and the green spaces. And the bottom one looks at the changes that were made, such as the inclusion of cycle paths. The cycle paths are represented here by the blue lines. They run mainly through the main roads where it's harder for cyclists already to travel. And the reason for that is there are a lot of students who live in this area because of the universities nearby, and I thought that cycle paths might be a better way of getting them mobile without necessarily harming the environment.
It's traditional geography, but with a different bit of equipment, really. So it's not a new concept; it's just a new way, a more flexible way of doing it.